When you think of camping, you probably think of summer, but winter camping can also be fun if you have the right tools to do it. To help us with some winter camping tips is the host of Could You Survive with Creek Stewart and survival expert Creek Stewart. Creek, thank you for joining us this morning.
Hey,
In full disclosure, I am going winter camping this weekend, so I need this so badly. But first, let's just talk about why winter camping is actually really fun.
Yeah, well, I camped out last night just for you, Jen, so that I could get into the mental headspace for this segment. So, one thing I love about winter camping is there are no bugs. And I hate sweltering hot tents, and you just don't get that in the wintertime.
Yeah, I mean, both really good points. Now, you say one important step to outdoor camping is in the wintertime is layering. So how many layers are we talking about?
So, ideally, you want to think about 4 layers, and it's really the key to warmth. Let me just show you what I'm wearing, and I can tell you about each one really quickly. So, I've got a really tight base layer that I typically use merino wool for. And then on top of that, I've got a mid-weight fleece. And then I have an insulative layer, which is typically down or synthetic fill. That's where your real warmth comes from. And then on the outside, we've got a windproof and waterproof shell to wrap it all up. And it's all about heating the dead airspace in between those layers. And that's what's going to keep you warm, whether you're in the backyard camping or whether you're summiting one of the highest mountains in the world.
Now, what about sleeping? So another item you say is essential is a good sleeping bag. And what kind works best?
Yeah, well, I prefer in winter a sleeping bag that's rated for 15 degrees below the lowest temperature that it's supposed to be while I'm out. So I've tried the ratings on, to match the degree that I'm going to be out in, but I find myself being really cold. So best rule of thumb is 15 degrees below the lowest temperature that you're expected to see.
All right, this is the step I'm stuck at too, so I appreciate that tip.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about, overnight. Let's get real. Going to the bathroom. You say you need to make a strategic plan. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so 2 steps really. So first, you always want to use the bathroom before you go to bed at night. The last thing you want is to get up in the middle of the night, lose all of the warmth from your sleeping bag, and then have to warm that all back up again. But my next hack is easier for guys than it is for girls. I always keep an empty water bottle in my tent with me, just in case I have to use the bathroom. And if I do, I use the bathroom in my empty water bottle, and I tuck that down in my sleeping bag, and you would not believe how cozy that is, believe it or not.
A little gross, but I can see how it would be cozy. But look, I mean, what about for women?
Well, you might have to get a little bit more creative, but that's where that tip of just go to the bathroom before you go to sleep really comes into play.
Oh, yes, for sure. All right. Finally, last thing here. What about ground pads? You say those are essential. What it is and why is it so important?
Yeah, so ground pad is what you sleep on top of underneath of your sleeping bag. It's the thing that you typically use for comfort in between the ground and your body. In the summertime, one is fine, but in the winter, you definitely want to use 2. Okay, you got one for comfort, and then you've got another one for insulation. And I found 2 pads is critical to staying warm in cold temps.
All right, you stepped us right through the whole process here. Can't wait to go camping. Creek Stewart, survival expert and host of Could You Survive with Creek Stewart. Thank you for speaking with us. You can catch Creek in his brand new show next month, premiering Sunday, January 3rd at 10 p.m. right here on the Weather Channel.